Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you from hot and sultry North Carolina, where it is time for another Appalachian Trail Thru Hiker update. If you've come to this channel to check out what's going on with the hiker community, and particularly the thru hikers, then you have come to the right place. So what I'd like for you to do is stay tuned and help me to build the hiker community by going to the description section. There you'll find a link to all the thru hikers that we're tracking right now. Be sure and go to their social media pages and links and give them an attaboy and cheer them on all the way to Katahdin or Springer or whichever direction they're going. If you get something out of this, I'd appreciate it if you like it, subscribe to this channel, and let's go ahead and get on with the update. So what's going on out there with the thru hikers? Well, there's a ton of thru hikers back on the trail, a ton of thru hikers getting back on the trail, and we have just only scratched the surface in the folks that we've got out there. So what right now we've got Dirt Nap is in Vermont, and she has finally met another thru hiker. She went for a long ways without meeting a thru hiker other than the folks that she had been hiking with, but she finally met somebody, and she is up in Vermont. And that kind of seems to be a trend among folks. There seems to be little micro bubbles in places up north and even down south, but there's not a giant bubble anywhere, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Hickory is in New York. Joe hikes. He is hiking with She's the One, and they are somewhere around the Mount Rogers area, and they are being Human Salt Lick. So if you've ever been through there in the summer and the ponies come up to you, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Rock Flipper, he got back on the trail in Maryland, and he is somewhere around Port Clinton and hiking with Dirty Jobs and their family of Punchline, Slider, Granger, Anchor, Cyborg, Chickweed, Kaleidoscope, and Loofah. So they would fill up a whole shelter by themselves if any of them were open. Appalachian Exile, he is somewhere around the Atkins area, and he got his trail name last week, and his trail name is Monk. Melinda on the trail, she is past the Mason-Dixon line, and she got her trail name last week also, and her trail name is Snow White. Oso, he should be somewhere through or almost through with New Jersey and continuing on north. Hiking with Brad's, saw her at Uncle Johnny's in Irwin this past weekend when I was on my section hike with Phoenix, and I'll have a video coming out about that this upcoming week, hopefully. But she is back on the trail now, and she is past Irwin and heading on up north, and she will probably be coming into Virginia by now. However, she is in a few weeks probably going to be flipping up north and then continuing her through hike in that fashion, and then, like a lot of people, coming back and finishing up. Wow is past the quarter-way point last weekend, and he should be getting close to the Shanties. Subway is north of Mount Rogers area, and he wanted me to share with you that if you see some birds flying up from the side of the trail, particularly right near the walking path, be careful. There's probably a nest somewhere. He took some shots of some, and this is somewhere up north of Damascus. But he said, do be careful, because right now they're probably already hatched, and then they're in the chick stage, so they hadn't left the nest yet, and you could very easily hurt some with your tracking pole. So just be aware of that. Chris H 900 is around the New Jersey, New York area. Gumbree this past week celebrated his 30th wedding anniversary, so congratulations to them. And he is also in the Mount Rogers area. Crusoe is north of the Mason-Dixon line and says that there is a bubble in his area, but it's probably made up of flippers coming up from Harpers Ferry. Lost is somewhere around Connecticut. Free Walker and Walden are around the Hot Springs area, and they have been hiking with about 8 others who they all plan to go to Maine together. And they said they had great hiking weather through the Smokies, so that's wonderful. A lot of times you don't get such great hiking weather through there. If you leave early, it's snow or rain, or even if you left late, it could be a lot of rain. So that's great that he had a good 5 days going in the Smokies with good weather. Hawk has started his from last year, where he did a yo-yo last year. This year he is doing a flip-flop, so he is back on the trail and getting started on that. Phoenix is somewhere around, he is north of Irwin, possibly into Virginia within the next day or so. And he has got him a new set of kicks and a new set of shoes, and he is on trail. Appreciate all those thru hikers who sent me their updates, pushed those out to me rather than me having to go and find them. That really makes my life easier and helps me with the updates, so where it doesn't take near as much time, and I can get these out in a more timely fashion. So thank you, hikers who sent me those updates. That is greatly appreciated. A couple folks that are getting back on the trail. Smiley is getting back on the trail. You remember Smiley was kind of out in front of the pack, and when the whole virus hiatus came to pass, he got off, and he had decided at one point that he was just going to do some section hiking, but I think he missed the trail so much that the trail called him back, and he is getting back on. Looks like full time now. So Smiley, we're looking forward to that. You were doing some big miles, and looking forward to watching your journey continue. Timberwolf and No Name, they should be getting back on the trail this week, and Utah got back on last week, and he is on his way to the Knock. So those are the folks that we are tracking right now. There may be a few more out there. Go ahead, and you folks that are getting back on trail, and you folks that are on trail, please send me your updates. I want to include everybody that wants to be included on this. If you're just one of the hiker community and you're not through hiking, you can go to the description section and you'll find a link to all of these folks' social media pages where you can go and give them an attaboy and cheer them on their hike and help support them. And if you're a thru hiker and you're on that page and you don't want to be on there, please let me know. Or if you're a thru hiker and you're not on the page and want to be on it, please let me know. Send me your social media links, because that's what we're using to cheer people on and support folks. So send those to me, and I will be glad to include you on that list. If you're a thru hiker, reach out to me either through email at ramdinoroamingthetrails@gmail.com, or through instant messenger on Instagram at Ramdino, or through my Facebook page at Ramdino Roaming the Trails. Reach out to me there if you'd like to get a list of the trail angels who have contacted me and given me their information to give to you privately. So that's not something that they've asked me to share to the masses, but they have asked me to share that to thru hikers. So please do that, and I've already heard back from several thru hikers who called these folks, and they met them out on the trail for some trail magic and help them resupply. And so that worked out great for them, and I want to help everybody that wants to take advantage of that. If you're a trail angel and you want to be on that list and you're not, please let me know. I'll be glad to include that. That will not be published publicly. That will just go out privately to the thru hikers as they ask for it. Speaking of trail angels, I want to say a special thanks to Munn out there, a trail angel up in Pennsylvania, and he had dropped off 75 gallons of water. So it's dry spell up there, particularly at the Kirkridge shelter. They typically have a water source there, a spigot, but that has been turned off. And so he has been putting water there and at other trailheads in Pennsylvania. So thanks a lot, Munn, for doing that. Greatly appreciate that. And then also thanks to Bouncer. He came up from all the way up from, I think he lives in maybe somewhere in lower Georgia, I believe. But in any case, he lives a long ways from Fontana, and he came all the way up to Fontana and was giving folks, helping people out there at the Smokies, helping them with resupply, because typically the Fontana Resort has a resupply there at the general store, the pit stop, and all of that is closed, so there's no lodging there or no resupply. The only resupply had been at the marina, and now that has dwindled down to slim to nothing. And it's my understanding Bouncer talked to the guy at the marina, and he said he will not be restocking this year. So there is no resupply there. Your only thing that you can do once you get to Fontana is either have stuff. The post office at Fontana is still open. However, you would have to get a shuttle over there somehow. So you can send it to one of the hostels that are in the area, and of course you'd have to make arrangements with them about coming out to the trailheads, because there's none that are really within hiking distance of the trailhead, or a reasonable hiking distance there. So you would have to do that, or call a shuttle to get into town and get a resupply. So keep that in mind as you're loading up supplies there at the Knock, that it may be before you may be going into the Smokies with what you've got on your back at the Knock. So just be wary of that. Some news from the trail. This is by all means a community effort, so it greatly helps me when folks from the hiking community and even thru hikers send me news they've got from the trail, whether it be information they've found about an opening or a closing or what have you somewhere. So folks are sending me those, and I greatly appreciate those who've done that. It helps me in not having to go out and try to find so much information. So this is a community channel, and I'm just the talking head here. So community effort. It's a hiker community effort, and we are all in this helping out the thru hikers and helping out section hikers and helping out each other. So thanks for those guys. Keep sending that to me. You can do that through my link down in the description section from the email or through one of the instant messenger apps there. So we do have another bear report. We had a bear report from Muskrat Creek Shelter, which is just trail south of Deep Gap, North Carolina. We also had another one where the bear came in the shelter at Double Spring Shelter, just above Damascus, which is around mile 448, is what I'm being told. So my old guide said 446, but it's 2 years old. So obviously the trail gets rerouted and changed every year, and so that looks like it may be at mile 448. So if you have some bear reports, please send them to me so that I can let folks out there know. I will leave that in the description section as well. And try to contact the ATC. They had a bear reporting section on their website, but then when they changed their website, that no longer functioned. And there's so you might just email them and see if you can get that through there. They are sending out updates on bear reports, but the updates I've seen so far in the trail update section are all old. I mean, like some of them are 2 years old. So I'm not sure why they don't update it any better than they do, but you be the judge of why the ATC is not updating it a little quicker. There's a continuing issue with the Smokies permits. I noticed a change in the website that there is a button now for thru hiker permits, but when you push it, it just loops you back over to the back country permits homepage. So I've sent an email out there to them to try to let me know if thru hiker permits are available. You can't get them online now. You may be able to get them via a phone call, but you cannot get them. You still can't get them online, and the shelters and the privies are still closed, according to the Smokies National Park site. So I don't know that much has changed there, but I am trying to find out. I had called backcountry office twice this week, and they've not returned my calls. So now I've resorted to email, and I will keep you posted if they get back to me. One of the things, though, the Happy Go Londons just came through the Smokies, and they said that folks that had permits, they were not even close to staying in the shelters that they had permits for. And so nobody was checking permits. They only saw one ranger the whole time, and he was riding around in a parking lot. So I would say go ahead and get a permit if you can. I'm certainly not telling you to break the law or hike in the Smokies without a permit. I can just tell you there's a lot of people doing that and have not heard of anybody that's been in trouble yet, but that's not something that I'm advising. Did go online and look about, because since they haven't had thru hiker permits, you've had to get a backcountry permit, and it's dang near impossible to get a backcountry permit. They're only letting you book 14 days out, and when you look at it, most of them are already booked, and you can't really connect the dots and put, the shelter you're going to stay at next doesn't line up with the shelter that you're at, that you're starting out at. So it's very difficult to do that, and that permit system, right now we're also coming into the section hiker season where people are hiking in the Smokies all the time, so particularly on the weekend, so it's going to be very difficult to get a backcountry permit. And then also Dirt Nap up in, that I said before was up in Vermont, she says that the mud is not that bad up there. So they call Vermont Vermud, but so far, according to her, the mud has not been too bad. So where would the bubble be if it was this, if we were a normal year? So according to the heat map, that the information that was gleaned from trail logs, this is where the bubble would be, somewhere a little north of Virginia, somewhere up around PA. But I'm actually putting it, the folks that I'm tracking, the group that I'm tracking, and when I say group, I mean groups, but there's a lot of little micro bubbles around, and they are really further north. They're about probably a couple to 3 weeks ahead of where they normally be. So I'm not sure if that's because the folks that normally would be part of the bubble, that would be, pull that bubble and statistically pull it further south, have dropped off more than the folks that were already further north and decided, since they had more miles in, they were just going to stay on the trail during the virus hiatus. So that could be why the data's being slewed there. But it's really, everything's all, there's no big bubble or a couple bubbles like there normally is because of just everything that's happened this year. So people are flip-flopping, and they're starting in different spots and ending in different spots and flipping up to different spots. So It's really hard to guess, but if I had to make a guesstimate, I would say it's somewhere around the New Jersey, New York, Connecticut area. Baxter State Park, they had said before that they would not open before July 1st, so that was a little ominous because that means we don't know when you're going to open. That they have now put out that they are opening trails to Katahdin on July 1st. So you got about a little less than a month, and they will be opening up, and you'll be able to go all the way to Katahdin up there. So that's pretty awesome. That was a big thing up there that people were going to have to figure out how to work around that. And before they had closed everything off above tree line. Well, now they're opening the trails specifically. They've mentioned to Katahdin July 1st. So things are opening up more and more, folks, and it's looking more and more positive. As I get more information in about more openings, particularly in the Shenandoahs, and more information on the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, I will pass that along to you. Thru Hikers, send me all the information of your updates. Those are very helpful, and if anybody in the hiker community out there has got news for me, please let me know. I want to make sure I'll check that out and make sure we got good sources, and then I will put that on the next update. Folks, that's all I've got this week. Thanks for tuning in. As always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out there.